So in topic 1 we introduced classes. In topic 2 we're going to have a look at what classes are and what they can do. So you can see here on my slide I have a class, and we know it's a class because I have the keywords public and class followed by the class name. Now this is called the class header, and it will always usually follow this format. So we type public, that's defining the class's access, and we will discuss that in a further topic. But for right now, any class that you look at will be public. It'll have the keyword class telling you it's a class, and then it will have the class name. In this case I've called it student. Now you would name the class whatever you like depending upon what the class does. In this case, and the example I'm going to show you in a minute, I have written a class that stores information about a student. So I've called it student. But if it stored information about a car, you could call it car. You can call it whatever you like. Just give it a meaningful name. But you're always going to start it for now with public, the keyword public, then the keyword class, and keywords are reserved words in Java that have special meaning, and then you're going to give it a name. Remember, class names are upper camel case. So here I only have one word, but if you had two words in your class name, like programming 2 or object-oriented programming, you would name it upper camel case. So there would be no spaces between the words, and every word would start with an uppercase letter. Now classes contain three things. They contain fields or instance variables, and you'll remember from last week we can use fields or instance variables. That means the same thing. Fields and instance variables, I'll call them fields for the rest of this video, they store data about the object, and we'll have a look at them in more detail in a coming video. Then you have constructors. Now we didn't talk about constructors in topic 1, that's new for this week, and we'll talk about that more in the next video. They set up the object when you first create the object. And then you have methods, and they determine the behavior of the object, and we did introduce methods in topic 1, and we'll talk about them in more detail in a video in this topic. So classes are going to contain these things. So we have the class header, then we have our brackets to show where the class code starts, and our brackets to show where the class code ends. We call these parentheses. And then all of the code contained within these brackets is the code that makes the class run, the code that gives the class its behavior. So if I open up BlueJ, you can see I have a project already open. Remember, to open a project, you'd go project, open project. I've got one open, and you can see I've called this one student because it matches the example that I'm going to show you. And so you'll remember from last week, if we double click on it, we can see the code for the class. So you can see here is my class header, public, class, and here's my class name, student. So these are defined by Java. We have to type public and class, and then we give it a descriptive name to describe the class. You can also see up here, this is a comment. This is a class comment. I would have some information here explaining what the class does. And you want to give your classes a good description. So please, when you create a class, give it a good description in the class comment, a better one than I have. Put your name as the author, and maybe a date for the date you last worked on the class. And you can see here are my fields or instance variables. They're going to store the data for the object that I create from this class. These are the constructors, and we'll talk about those in the next video, but they set up the object properties. We use those to assign initial values to our fields or instance variables here. And here are all of our methods, and these determine the behavior of our class. So in the coming videos for this topic, we'll discuss all of these things in more detail.